Recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized for as much time as he may consume.
Thank you. I rise today in support of H.R. 3791, the Fire Grants Reauthorization Act of 2009. This bill reauthorizes both the Assistance to Firefighters Grant, AFG program, and the Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response, the SAFER program, which both provide much-needed assistance to fire departments across the nation. As we learned through our committee work on this bill, and as I have heard firsthand in discussions with fire chiefs and firefighters in my district, the AFG program is frequently cited as a lifesaver and the only means by which many departments can acquire up-to-date equipment and training, which requires a significant portion of their budget for their firefighters. This is particularly true in rural areas such as my district in rural Nebraska, where many communities rely upon all volunteer departments to respond to fires and other emergencies. The equipment needed to fight fires and save lives and property is costly and required for departments to meet certain minimum response capabilities, regardless of whether they are protecting a community of a few hundred people or a large city of a few 100,000 people. As such, firefighter grants have proven absolutely vital for rural and volunteer fire departments, which have small tax bases and the least ability to acquire such equipment. The bill before us today makes several modest changes to the AFG and SAFER programs, reflecting a compromise reached by the leading national fire service organizations who worked closely with the Science and Technology Committee to develop this legislation. I support these changes and the underlying reauthorization effort, and I want to call attention to two in particular which I offered as amendments during the committee consideration of this bill. They are intended to support the ability of smaller combination and volunteer departments to successfully compete for and receive AFG grants, and to emphasize the AFG program should be a funding priority generally. The First Amendment added language to the bill clarifying, in awarding grants competitively, FEMA must consider a broad range of factors related to a fire department's ability to respond to hazards, not just the size of the population a department protects, but also other factors such as its geographic response area, hazard vulnerability, or financial situation. This addition does not make any changes to the underlying AFG program, but rather explicitly codifies FEMA's existing practice. Second, I was pleased to incorporate amendment language in committee calling attention to the dramatic decline in funding for the AFG program over the last 5 years, and emphasize restoring it should be a priority. The AFG program is authorized in this legislation at $1 billion per year. However, its actual appropriated funding has never reached that amount, and in fact has steadily declined in recent years. In FY 2003, $750 million was appropriated for AFG. Since this time, funding has steadily declined. Last year it was $565 million, and this year the Obama administration requested only $390 million. This represents a 48% decline since FY 2003. Given the importance of AFG to helping fire departments around the country meet minimum response requirements, especially those in rural areas with limited tax bases, this trend is troubling and should be reversed. I was pleased our colleagues in the majority accepted these amendments. I appreciate the chairman's work. Thank them for working closely with me and the leading national fire service organizations to develop an agreeable compromise under which we could move this reauthorization forward. I urge members to support passage of this bill, and I hope for and expect a continued smooth process as we do go forward. I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Nebraska reserves the balance of his time. The gentleman from Tennessee.